Okay, welcome back to another NFL 2013 preview. Today I'll be doing the Pittsburgh Steelers. They finished 8-8, third in the division. Of course, they missed the playoffs, as you all know. Um, and for a team like the Steelers, it's very disappointing. First I'm gonna go through the some of the guys they lost through either trade or free agent or going to be a free agent. Um, One of the notable losses is, of course, James Harrison, who you know was was once the defensive player of the year for them. Had an injury riddled season last season, but losing him, I honestly didn't see it coming. But you know, it is what it is. Let me see who else did they lose. Of course, they lost Mike Wallace, as we all know. Big deep threat receiver who they felt as though some of the other guys, were just as good. So they decided, they paid Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio Brown. Those guys got paid. So um, I guess they felt they should go in another direction, which they did. Um, Give me 1 second. Okay, they re-signed Larry Foote. Of course, they got Plexico Burris, who got injured. But he was about the fifth receiver on the depth chart, so not a big loss there. He was going to be a guy that used in red zone. They re-signed Jonathan Dwyer. And of course, they still have Isaac Redman. And really, that's about it with the notable, notable losses and some of the re-signings, of guys who was going to get significant playing time. I'm gonna go through the draft picks. I was gonna from the first round to that final pick. Jarvis Jones, linebacker. Um, Levon Bell, Marcus Wheaton, who was a guy they felt is similar to Mike Wallace, a guy with with great speed who can stretch the defense. Um, Shamar Shamarko Thomas, Landry Jones, quarterback. Terry Hawthorne, cornerback. Justin Brown, wide receiver. Vince Williams, linebacker, and Nicholas Williams, defensive end. I won't go through the undrafted. With the Steelers struggled last year. The defense is older. Um, they also had a tough time of protecting Roethlisberger. He had to deal with knee injuries, ankle injuries. The guy takes a beating back there. Yeah, he's a big guy. He can he can take those hits. He's good at moving around in the pocket, creating something out of nothing. But he can't afford. He's getting up there in age. He can't afford to keep taking that type of punishment. So I'm honestly surprised to see them not pick up another lineman and yo in the draft, the actual guy they drafted. But of course they had injuries to their offensive line. David DeCastro was a guy that they drafted last year who didn't get to play. Marquise Pouncey is probably the best lineman on that. Who was the center was the best lineman. If they can keep these guys healthy, they can they can keep Big Ben upright and keep him healthy, which is the most important thing. A lot of his problems is he does hold the ball a lot, but he just hasn't gotten the protection that you need for in a league where it's just in a passing league pretty much. Also Heath Miller, they probably won't have him begin the season. Of course he had an ACL injury last year, and he's a guy that often does not get talked about. Not quick, not flashy, but good run blocker, good pass protector, and a guy who was honestly Big Ben's safety blanket. The guy's very underrated, and he will be missed for the beginning of the season, most definitely. At the wide receiver position, Manuel Sanders, Emmanuel Sanders, who's really good. Marcus Wheaton, who was the guy I was talking about. Antonio Brown, really good player. Jericho Cotchery, who is definitely a solid slot receiver because it's more than likely what he's gonna play. So Big Ben has some weapons on the outside. Pretty underrated wide receiving core, in my opinion. Once they get Heath Miller back, that's definitely gonna help out the pass attack. But what they really want to get back to is running the ball. Isaac Redman, Le'Veon Bell, the kid that they drafted in the second round. The second, yeah, Jonathan Dwyer. They want to get some yards on the ground. They want to kind of get back to like the smash mouth football. And this also keeps Big Ben upright. You constantly sitting back passing the ball. It's gonna the chances are high for him to take some hits, especially with it. I would say it's one of his weaknesses where he holds the ball too much. And he does make plays doing this, but you throw a little bit less, it won't happen as often. So they definitely got to get that running game back. They got to keep the offensive linemen healthy so they can so they could have an improved run game. Of course, we know they lost. I can't think of the other running back name. I apologize. Let's see. Mendenhall. They lost Mendenhall. He had a lot of run-ins with the team. Really, a lot of bad press around him, so they let him go. And it's understandable, especially when guys like Redman and Dwyer were kind of carrying the load. Then they draft a guy like Le'Veon Bell, so it's understandable. Defensively, of course, they still got Lamar Woodley, who had an off season last year, but is still good at getting after the quarterback. Brett Kiesel, that defense is still pretty old. Of course, they lost Casey Hampton. They had him. He definitely isn't what he. He's no longer with the team, of course, but he isn't what he used to be when he was there. So they had to go in a new direction. Ziggy Hood, Brett Kiesel, Larry Foote, Lawrence Timmons, Jason Worlds. They hoping that kid Jarvis Jones can come. That first round pick can come in and replace the loss of James Harrison, which is a big loss because he is an enforcer when healthy. So that they're hoping that Jarvis Jones can come in, and they always been good at the linebacking core isn't what it used to be. They always been good at drafting linebackers and getting them to where they need to be, and really getting diamonds in the rough. They draft based on what they're good at, such as the Giants do the same thing. They're good at drafting pass rushers, and they're gonna always draft pass rushers, even if they already have some for depth. So that's pretty much the same way they are with linebackers. The back end, you got Cortez Allen, Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, Ike Taylor, and William Gay. Now, cornerback, Ike Taylor's getting up there in age. Polamalu stays injured, and that's definitely a problem because you go back 3-4 years ago, and this guy was, he was either the number one, number two corner safety. Ryan Clark has, a lot of people see him as just a guy who's gonna punish guys who come across the middle. And yes, this is true, he does do that, but he is definitely underrated for that defense. He has become more valuable than Polamalu. Polamalu, he can't stay healthy, and that's definitely a problem. And seeing with this defense, you look at it, be like, yeah, they got a lot of old guys. If they could stay healthy, they could still be solid. But especially with the defensive coordinator, who's their legendary defensive coordinator. Hopefully they can, these guys can stay healthy. But, when you're getting older, it's difficult to stay healthy. So, you know, if they are healthy, I think they're gonna be solid. Definitely not what they used to be. Anyone expecting for them to be what they used to be is not gonna happen. So, we'll have to wait and see what the defense looks like. I did want to get around to the schedule. Let's see. Okay, trying to get the schedule. Okay, here we go. Okay. Start with the regular season. Of course, the regular season. We'll go 1 through 16, 1 through 17. Week 1, Titans. Week 2, the Bengals. Week 3, the Bears. Week 4, the Vikings. Week 5 is a bye. Week 6 is the Jets. Week 7, divisional game against the Ravens. Always a tough game. Week 8, the Raiders. Week 9, the Patriots. Week 10, the Bills. Week 11, the Lions. Week 12, the Browns. Week 13, the Ravens again. Week 14, the Dolphins. Week 15, the Bengals. Week 16, the Packers. Week 17, the Browns. Now, their division. Now, a lot of people have the Bengals and, of course, the Super Bowl champion Ravens, ahead of the Steelers, and for good reason, because they made those teams, proved last year that both those teams made the playoffs. So it's only right for you to do that, especially without seeing a single regular season game this year. That's probably one of the better divisions in the AFC. Of course, with the Ravens, the Bengals, and I think a team that has an underrated defense in the Browns. Browns could sneak up on some teams. Of course, the Browns still have their problems, but the AFC North, I feel, is probably the best division in the AFC. And if you look at top to bottom, you got those 4 teams, or could especially mainly the Browns, they could upset some people. You got, of course, the Ravens, Bengals, and then the Steelers are right there in the mix. Now, the injury bug has plagued them for the last couple of years, on their offensive line, and just recently last year, that defense. So, we'll have to see the health of some of these guys. When will Heath Miller return? Having him back is definitely huge for the offense. Can they get that running game going? Can they protect Ben Roethlisberger? Can they get after the quarterback? Can the defense, stay healthy? As I said before, they're gonna be well coached, but it's just a matter of can they go out there and execute? They know they're one of the older teams, one of the older defenses in the league. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, disappointing season last year, and I would say the most important thing: keep Big Ben healthy. You can't have this guy at the end of the year dealing with all those injuries. Of course, last year they had a new offensive coordinator, and it's still a learning process, and you can't learn offense in one season. Especially when you're switching offenses and you switch it to an entirely new offense, it's definitely a learning period, even for veteran quarterbacks. So we'll have to wait and see the transition period from last season to this season. So it's always a wait and see. We'll have to see how the first couple games of the regular season turn out. And if you're a Steelers fan, let me know what you think. What are your gripes with some of the team? What some of the moves the team's made? What do you think the team's biggest weakness is? What do you think the team's biggest strength is? Like I said, of course, their biggest strength is Ben Roethlisberger's ability to create plays. Now, if you would have asked me this a couple years ago, definitely the defense. But as the defense got older and whatnot, now I think it's Ben Roethlisberger he has to he has to take more of the baggage pretty much, as a quarterback should. But before, he was kind of protected by the defense. The defense was good. He could make mistakes and they could still get away with it. But he definitely has more pressure on him now. So, like I said, let me know what you think. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe.